Right, so there's no need for anything. She's a professional. She's the best. You are like a five-tool player of the comics game. You've got your podcast, you've got your books, you're a writer, you're like a super
Twitch
crowdfunder.
streamer.
Your Twitch stream is on fire. Your Twitter is hot to death. Liana Kangas, you are like, you're the Willie Mays of comics. Like, you're just the best all-around player there's ever been. And you look dapper and fantastic, by the way, with the blazer and stuff on. Look at you go.
She's so
Thank
fashionable.
you.
I know.
It's a leather jacket for those not
Whoa.
seeing it.
So you're rocking the Arthur
It's cold in my
Fonzarelli-
house.
You're rocking the Arthur Fonzarelli thing. I dig that.
She came on to say,
Hey.
That's awesome. But you said you were dressed up because you were doing your Twitch stream today because you're launching a podcast, yes?
Yeah, so I actually do my Twitch stream every week.
Okay.
I draw and like talk to people, or like I'll have people on. Eventually one day Word Bros will be on. And I'll just hang out, draw, do whatever every Tuesday. And so, you know, got to look presentable for everyone.
All right, now let's just start. So if I wanted to watch this on Twitch, what would be the easiest way for me to find you so I could see this?
this is for the
Great.
old heads, Liana. We don't know what we're doing.
Twitch.
I don't know nothing about
TV.
I don't know nothing about no Twitch.
You know, actually, I think you can watch Twitch without an account too, which is really cool. It's like TV. It's twitch.tv/Liana Kangas.
Okay.
Same with all my other social media. And like I try to tweet about it. I've been a little lax, but last year I did every Tuesday and Friday. And so I would draw on Tuesdays, and then Fridays I would like interview a friend or just do like coffee hour or whatever.
Jeez
like
Louise.
yeah, but it, you know, after booking books and things like that, I was just like, I'm gonna cut out the Friday one just because, you know, I don't have enough time, and you know, I don't want to get into the realm of being too comfortable talking to friends with it being publicly aired and then accidentally say something like NDA or, you know, something that's not out yet, or somebody else's thing that's not out yet. So that'll be cut out for a little while, just until I finish a couple projects. And
Listen
you know,
you are a friend of mine, and I, he runs a bunch of cons. His name is Mike Federale, really good guy. Him and I always talk about the 10,000 fan rule. Have you ever heard of this? It's like the thing that
No.
Ani DeFranco kind of, I'm sure you know, you're well aware of Ani DeFranco. Yes. Are we of the same age? Are we contemporaries here? I'm 43.
I'm a decade younger.
Oh my
but,
God, listen, that makes
you
me
know.
feel even worse about myself because you're 33, you're doing all this hot shit. Like, you're taking off.
Only because I have the energy to still do it. I'm like gonna do it while I can because my body's slowly dying. You know.
Now she's. I think it's funny because she just hit you twice. That was awesome.
No, you just called me like you just called Kevin and I like tired old men.
Yeah.
It's true.
It was a
It's
savage
true.
comeback.
It was.
You know,
It's true.
backhanded compliment.
Yeah. But it's all true though. Ani DeFranco has this kind of theory that she's a like a mid 90s like folk singer, folk rock singer. She's really great. She's got this huge following. She's wonderful. She has Righteous Babe Records was kind of her thing. And her idea was like, if you have 10,000 fans that are committed to you no matter what, that's enough to make a living, and that's all you really need. I feel like this is your model to success because you've just like the people that interact with you on social media, it's like you have it down pat, like they're your pals, like they're your buddies. It's really interesting to watch as another creator. Kevin and I admire your hustle like crazy.
Wow, that's a really big compliment. Number one. Number two, it helps that I think because I worked retail the majority of my career pre-comics, and then also worked in recruiting with a lot of teachers that essentially were like working either for special ed or working for that type of realm. So I was kind of used to people who were really easy to talk to and, you know, communicate with and things like that. I find it easier to communicate with people that like art and nerdy stuff. You know, it's kind of like it would have been the person in school that I would have talked to and hung out with. So like, why not approach that in the same way that I would approach everything else? And so it makes it a lot more cool because you connect with a lot of different people that you wouldn't usually connect with, especially with how my Patreon and stuff has grown. I, you know, talk to a lot of people on there, and in a lot of ways, like I hopefully can support their, you know, aspirations and career and stuff like that in other ways too. Like, you know, for instance, we all know Jono. right? So like obviously he's a comics writer, but also, you know, he's very passionate about coffee and like started the coffee company and things like that. And so like just because I love coffee and I'm obsessed with coffee, I'll like push that till the day, you know, till the day ends. So it just, you know, finding common ground with people to me is really important. And I think that's why it's so easy for me. I don't know, maybe.
You've just done such a wonderful job building your brand. It's really impressive to see. And again, as I said, like a creator, Kevin and I just like watch in awe of just the way you just kind of move through these social media.
The fluidity.
It is. It's like water, man. Like it's really impressive to watch. Do you have any advice for people out there who are trying to build their own brand in comics? Because like I said, you've done such a masterful job at it. I'm sure you've got like just one tip for somebody.
Tip. I'm trying to think because I'm kind of helping a couple friends out with doing their Twitch streams and stuff like that. I think being you know, diligent about posting all the time, whether it be, you know, about your own work or sharing others. That's worked for me. I don't know if that works for other people. I know some people kind of want to keep their brand how it is, but I think, you know, uplifting other voices is a lot more important. And then you know, from a design standpoint, maybe, because I personally feel like my stuff is chaotic and I still haven't figured it out. So I appreciate the compliments. But I think from a design standpoint, because I did work in graphic design prior to comics, just like being consistent, which by the way, that was a long time ago. So like far out of the game and have a lot of appreciation for designers and stuff in comics. Oh my God. But anyway, like keeping to your same color palettes, which is probably why a lot of people recognize my work because I accidentally stick to the same color palette, but it's because I like it. And I am not comfortable about straying outside of it yet. And then like, you know, same fonts, same everything. And then people eventually, you know, after the fifth time, I think the rule is of thirds or fifths after so many times of posting it, people start recognizing you. So I think a lot of people that post often, like artists, like I'm thinking of like Lane Lloyd right now, they post all the time and you can tell it's their style constantly because they are always posting. And so that's why I think they're blowing up and things like that. So I just as an example, because they're very talented, but that I think is the biggest bit of advice, especially because there's, you know, like one of my favorite friends, Sweeney Boo, she posts all the time. I was like, how? You're like not sleeping or something, you know, but all of her work looks so great together. And so I think as long as you build this like consistency and like a volume of work, people will see it. People will come. Even like for writers too, I think writers know how to curate their favorite artists and things like that. And I think that kind of ends up building later on a lot slower, but still applies.
Or you can just drink hot sauce because that's what I do.
That's true. Or you have a shtick, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have a shtick.
Yeah, I have a shtick. Yeah.
Shtick.
Yeah, so hot sauce.
You are just, I mean, it's really impressive to watch, man. So congratulations on that. I think the first time you came across our radar as like an artist was with She Said Destroy. That's with what you did with Vault Comics, correct?
Yeah.
Now tell us about that. Tell us about working with Vault and what She Said Destroy is all about. Maybe people can go pick that up if they'd like.
If they don't have it already.
So She Said Destroy Volume 1 is at your local comic shop by Vault Comics. You can get it or ask them to still get it. It's about a space goddess essentially that wants to protect her particular planet and her followers. And her sister, who's another space goddess, kind of wants to take the remaining power of the gods and use it for her people instead. So it's like a dichotomy battle between two sisters and like who's, you know, what's the righteous answer between the both and things like that. I don't want to give too much away, but I had a great time doing it. I did it with Joe Corallo and Rebecca Nalty and Melanie Ujimori, and it was a phenomenal team. Can't wait to work with them again one day. And yeah, you can get that. And apparently you can get my old book with Vida Ayala, the Black AF Devil's Die, that is just now coming to trade apparently tomorrow, which I'm not sure when you release this podcast, but
it'll be out next Monday.
Oh, perfect. Well, so apparently the trade paperback for my first series that I ever did will be available. It's Black Mask called Devil's Die. So
nice. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. Which seeing it years later, is kind of jarring, but at the same time, like you get it, like that's comics, that's direct market for you. Like, the trade's coming out. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Everything that we're doing now, that's coming out in the Ninja Nuns, with the exception of Ninja Nuns, is the exception because we did that in like 3 months. But like everything else that's going to be coming out soon has been done for a while. So that's just the way it works.
It's weird that comics works that way because you can see yourself progressing as a talent and your work gets so much better. But that's a good thing. Like if you're static, then you're not learning, you're not growing.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. I don't want to look at my old pages just because I'm that type of person. But I have like scrolled or flipped back through She Said Destroy recently because I was sending a Trve Kvlt backer a volume signed, and I was like, oh, I did a really good job on this one page. You know what I mean? Like just still being able to be like, all right, like I can, I don't hate it. It's good. It's good. So.
We've done that before because we were looking through an old script and Bobby was like, I forgot how good that one scene was. Like, and like when I was reading it, it was weird because I forgot that we wrote that. And I was like, and I laughed when he said that. I was like, I remember writing.
It's like someone else possessed our bodies. And
you're like, I don't remember this at all.
Yes, I don't know. When did Grant Morrison enter my being and write this scene? That's awesome. Yeah, so you've got Trve Kvlt now too. That was your smash hit Kickstarter thing. There's just, I feel like I'm bombarding you with these flowery statements and congratulatory.
Oh no, this is the best day of my life. Thank you.
But I mean, you've done so much stuff in like the
past, awesome.
Like 8 months. It's got it. Like, how do you keep track of it?
I don't sleep.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. No, I mean, I hustle like I'm working towards a promotion 24/7. Like I kind of remember this feeling back at my day job being like, okay, I want the next thing. I want the next level. So I'm going to work really hard and I'm going to show them that I deserve that next level. And so, I did get that next level with my previous desk job and I loved it. I got to travel. I got to do a whole bunch of stuff, which is why I feel like it integrated very well with comics. But now with comics, it's kind of like the reverse engineering where I feel like I'm trying to learn how to draw better every day. And I'm trying to learn the other parts of comics that I didn't quite know outside of, retail and things like that. So because I feel like I know a lot of people that have been doing comics for twice or 3 times as long as I have. And I'm just trying to be like a sponge towards like the knowledge of everything that they like, any advice or whatever. So yeah. I feel like I forgot the question already. Thank you for the compliments.
Dude, whatever. You can ramble on. It's fine. That's what we do all the time. So you're good to go.
Bob rambles on every show.
Yeah, that's kind of my
his job.
That's my brand. Like your brand is Successful Comics. Mine is just rambling aimlessly like a crazy person in a park holding
headbands. And now headbands.
Well, the headband's great. The headband thing is new because I haven't been to a barber in months. I'm not going out in public with COVID. No, so it's just grown out. So this
you look like Mark Marone joined Jane's Addiction. That's what it is. It's good though. I love it. I love it. I dig the vibe. Yeah. It's great, my friend.
My daughter hates it
because it's her headband. That's why she hates it.
Good.
That's true. But we're not here to talk about my hair. We can do that later.
Okay.
Let's talk about Trve Kvlt because that was your Kickstarter that you did over the summer. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. We did it aptly in October because Halloween and quote unquote Satanism and things like that. So
I love the air quotes on Satanism. It's great.
Yeah. Trve Kvlt is it's the mastermind. I feel like we're striving to be as epic IP as like Metal Shark Bros, with like this fast food sort of world where this kid accidentally steals like a satanic record. Like we know that's been done before, but ours is different, So we got a really good response, which is really fun because it's like a heist and there's all this other stuff involved with it. And we did it in October. We surpassed our goal, which honestly, huge for me. We had a very low goal for just the printing. So we were able to disperse money between creators. And that was really nice, just to be paid for our efforts. And I'm actually wrapping up issue 2 right now, which is wild because it's only going to be 4 issues.
Okay.
So it's going to be interesting to be like, oh, when is this going to go to trade? And when am I going to see that in print? Because we don't have any plans for that yet. The plan was to only print issue 1 with all the extra back matter and like special stuff just for the Kickstarter, and then release all 4 issues digitally to the backers.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
like it's like a huge passion project. And what's great is we didn't think that it was going to kind of kick off so well. And so like I think Sci-Fi covered the Kickstarter, which I was like, oh wow. And then a lot of other outlets, which are favorites that usually kind of cover some of my other comic stuff. So we have Gab on colors, Gab Contreras, DC Hopkins on letters, Jaslyn Stone on marketing, and my friend James Savage, who did like color assisting. And the book has been just unreal. And the more it comes to life, like I've already read issues 1 through 4. And like after I read the 4th issue, I was like weeping, like calling Scott, like, this is the best comic I've ever read. And I was like, cool, now I have to draw it. This is no pressure. So oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, anyway, it's like a brainchild / I don't know, like it's one of those things where I never thought I'd get to the point where I'd be able to just like quote unquote make whatever I want in comics. And I've always been given that advice, but now that I'm actually doing it, I'm like, yes, like wake up every day being like, I get to draw that page. That's cool.
That's awesome. So like you have 4 issues digitally going to your backers. Is this something you're going to ship around to publishers, or are you just going to kind of keep this thing in-house and do it independently? And what are some, and if you decide to do that, what are some of the benefits to keeping it yourself, doing it independently? Or are you like, fuck it, we're just gonna send this thing to Image and we're gonna blow up and be super rich, and I'm gonna have like 6 leather coats that I just pick one every day?
I have a rotating, there has to be 7, 1 for every day of the week.
I figured Sunday is the Lord's Day. You could wear white leather on that day.
That's true.
Yeah.
Get a custom white leather suit with Image money. Yeah. No, I mean, we would love, so we actually originally had it with a publisher, but because of COVID, it was one of those situations where we, kind of, it was like a decision to move forward with it without getting a decision made. So we are open to it being published with publishers. However, there are no concrete plans, and we have negotiations kind of going on with a whole bunch of stuff and like figuring out what the best place for it is. But I think because Scott and I are so not obsessed with the project, but slightly obsessed with the project, we're just being very particular. So it's kind of like, because we've done this on our free time and we're able to make it float with the Kickstarter and everything, I think we have the time and leisure and ability to wait and decide and just see what works, organically.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it's great that you have the power to say no to the publishers in a way, like, and I know that sounds weird to say, but like, as comic creators, we forget sometimes that like, if you're offered like a deal that you don't really like, you can always say no. And I think that's a thing that a lot of comics people forget. They're like, oh my gosh, a publisher wants this, but it's like the worst deal ever. But I'm going to say yes because it means a published book, and I never get that logic. Like Bobby and I, when we talk about things,
Kevin, have I showed you my Action Lab contract? Is that what this is all
about? We've talked about the power of saying no before on this podcast. And like, and it helps you as a creator.
What's interesting is like, I think if you would have asked me 3 years ago, like I would have never said no. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I think it just comes with the knowledge and time of like spending time and learning all these things and actually working with publishers and knowing what a good contract is and realizing your mistakes made earlier on. So I think like there's a lot of, and there's a lot to be said about, I am the type of person that, as you both know, I am willing to ask questions and be told no later. Like I'd rather ask questions and ask for people's advice. And if they don't feel like giving it to me, that's fine. But usually what I've found, and which is why I feel like I've made a ton of friends fairly easily, is like, I'm like, whatever you need from me, tell me, but can you answer this one question for me? Like, I just have a question of advice. And usually everyone's super cool about it. So I think that's why I like comics a lot as an industry, is that it's a lot of really nice, cool people that don't want you to get burned like they got burned, or, learn from their mistakes. And then also having the ability, because it's in a weird niche. So it's not in Hollywood, it's not in book publishing, it's the weird intersectional Bermuda Triangle of like self-sustained creators just trying to make a living, just loving what they do. If they go to the Hollywood side and make a ton of money to support their family and all that stuff, great. If they don't, or they end up wanting to make more stuff and then get picked up by Bookside, also great, whatever. But a lot, I feel like, are perfectly content being in the Bermuda Triangle of just like existing in their own bubble, making it for what it was. And I think that's a lot of people that collected comics as a kid. Like I've been a collector for probably 2 decades now. And for people that just like are general comics readers. So as comics readers one to another, I don't know. I feel like y'all probably get it.
What got you into comics? Like what was
I was going to ask, what is it that she collects?
What was it that hooked you? Like what was got its tentacles in you, the hooks, and you couldn't stop? What was it?
It was probably, okay, so I read a ton of manga from like ages 8 to like probably 18, but like when I was 18 I was like, I'm too cool for anime, but I was still collecting it on the side. But at that point, probably around like 17 or something like that, I was like collecting comics and stuff. I was really into Spider-Man growing up, like really into Spider-Man, and then kind of switched gears. And I think when I was like it was like 18 probably, I started going to the other shelves and being like, okay, what is this? And just being able to freely peruse without kind of being stressed out that like, someone was waiting for me in a car, or whatever. So I collect everything. You both see my shelf behind me. Yes. This is only a fifth or a fourth maybe of my books. I'm not proud of that. But more recently than not, like I am definitely the image collector. I am definitely the self-publishing collector. I collect a lot of DC, like a lot, and it's mostly by habit. And then I collect very specific Marvel series, mainly ones that either my friends have done or of an obscure license like Howard the Duck or something that I'm like, I have to have that, So
that's awesome.
That's fair. Yeah. That's fair.
I am a single issues collector, which is not a fruitful collection, if you will, with investments, but my brain has already stuck on that. Like records. Well, records, they have a big return, but yes. One of those things.
So you collect the weird stuff like Howard the Duck and stuff like that. So okay, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And Spider-Man. So
I just found my Charles Barkley with Godzilla comic.
That's hot
the other day.
That's hot because everybody with the Godzilla.
I should sell it on eBay.
You could make like so many books of that shit right now. Cash in, speculator market. Hey.
Yep. Oh my gosh. I can't remember the day that I bought that. Like I couldn't tell you when that was.
Because we were talking about weird stuff we have in our collection. I have a bunch of Moon Knight. I have like Power Man and Iron Fist. It's never like top tier Marvel people when I have Marvel stuff, and DC is the same. It's like Blue Devil, blue. I was like, God,
the B characters were.
I was such a weird fucking kid. That's what I was like. God, I was a weird kid.
Yeah, I think I spent the majority of like my teens when I was collecting trying to find every single issue of Robin possible, like ever.
The Chuck Dixon one.
Yeah,
yeah, me too. I have all of those, which is weird to like say that now.
Yes, like, I mean, it's super unfortunate now, but
doesn't it suck like your heroes are assholes?
Yeah.
It's a terrible feeling.
It was terrible for me because I loved that Robin thing. I thought it was like the greatest idea ever. I was like, he's sending Robin around the world to train. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a good. I think at the time I remember being very inspired by it, but
5 issues. It was like 5 issues or something. I have them all. It's crazy. I made my kid read it. It was weird. And then it came out and I was like, oh, I made my child read that, you asshole.
There's a lot of unfortunate awes that seemed
that
seemed to crop up more and more almost every day. And it's just like, oh, really? I can't like Kevin Spacey anymore? Fine. It's just one of those things like, all right, cool. I'm fine with that. We're good. Let's move on to the next one.
I'm definitely using half of my comics collection, obviously the one half that needs to go, for like a fire pit frenzy or something to like warm myself when the fire, when the power goes out, something like that. Just like use it for.
That's awesome.
It's a good use for it.
The fire pit, This is the fire pit frenzy collection over here. Oh, I saw. Weren't you giving away some of your comps on your Twitter feed? I saw that.
Yeah. So actually, they're not comps. What's funny is I'm a terrible collector in that I accidentally buy the same thing multiple times.
I do that too
because I have a terrible memory. So I went through and one Sunday spent 6 hours and finally alphabetized all of the. That was my to read pile. Way too large. And I found a lot of extra stuff. And then obviously I realized that like I have friends like Gavin Smith who, he did Dead Legends and sent me some extra comps with like, he remarked it. So I'm like, well, I'm giving away the one I bought. So I already have, it'll be in better hands having somebody else read it, multiple copies. But I'm definitely the type of person that purposefully buys like 2 copies of like a cover I really like or whatever, because I'm like, what if I mess one up or whatever?
What if I mess one? Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. I was taught to buy them that way because my brother is a lot older than me, and what was a lot older than me. He passed away now, but he had sons who were also older than me, basically my nephews, and they're the ones who taught me like what to do when you collect a comic. So they would be like, you buy one to put away, and it's the 90s, so you buy one to put away,
yep,
and then you buy one to read.
This will pay for your college, Kevin.
I
swear he said that to me
you
too.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. If I still had all my, unfortunately I lived in Florida. I grew up in Florida. So like, I would say 60% of my collection that I would have was destroyed by hurricanes. Oh, however, fun. Same with manga, which kind of sucks, but it's such is life. But it's a good learning experience because like, inflation and everything now, comics are a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
So I'm very particular about the ones that I only buy 2 copies of, One definitely being like Sexual Gary, bought 2 copies of that, 100%. Actually, I accidentally bought 3, but that's,
okay.
Things like that, or like a special event, or again, like covers that I like that aren't incentive covers or whatever. So
it just means that I like it a lot because I'll do that. I used to do that too. I'll go sort of like, oh man, I'm buying that, and then I'll go back through my to read, and I'm like, I have like 3 of those. Like, what did I do? I must have like really liked that one the following Wednesday and put it in the to read pile and forgot that I liked it and bought it again.
Yeah. Or I don't know if y'all ever did this, but I used to buy multiple copies of like comics to use for like not decoupage, but or crafting. And so I used to like, I made shoes with some, like I would like Mod Podge.
I am not creative in that way. Yeah. That's awesome that you can do that.
Yeah, I'm not. That's not my.
I'll show you my terrible, my terrible 8-year-old art though. It'll be funny.
Feel what you're doing because there's a Mexican restaurant, fantastic here in Cincinnati that has like a decoupage kind of wall of comics that looks awesome, but I can't. I've never been crafty. That's not my thing. That's been my. I was a stay-at-home father. And I still kind of am. I work a little bit, but like that was my downfall as a stay-at-home dad was crafts. It's like, no, I can't do it. Like I just can't.
That's wild because as a writer, you're like obviously automatically creative. So
but it's the digits and cutting and crafting.
You're like, I'm definitely gonna cut a finger off.
Yeah, I can't. No, it's not my thing, man. I can't do it. I just suck at it. But I know my limitations, and my kids are accepting of it. So they know when they want to craft, they get mommy. It's like mommy will help us. So it's like, cool. If you want lunch, I'll make lunch. If you want a fun anecdote, I'll tell you a fun anecdote. If you want to sing and dance, we can do that. But crafting, nah, son, nah.
So these are only worth something to me, but I drew that when I was like 8.
That's beautiful.
No, it's awful.
Oh my gosh.
And it's interesting that you have it so readily available. I need a full scan
of that.
Yeah.
It's awful. It's legit.
How do you still have that? Like
and it's right everything. There.
and like, see, it's like, that's how old it is. It's like Hulk versus the UFOs. And then
whoa.
You can see all the ones I planned on doing that for because like, this one doesn't have a cover, so like what ended up happening. So you would
draw covers for your comics that didn't have covers?
That I lost the covers to.
Yeah, here's a Spider-Man one. We've been friends forever. How?
Yeah, but I mean, these are comics I had when I was like 7. It's Spider-Man, Firestar, and Iceman. That's how old that is. That's like an 80s comic.
That's Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends right there. That's
it's old.
That's the best.
It's what was on TV when I was real little.
That's.
I mean, I'm sure you watched it too, right?
I did. Lana saw it much later. Liana saw it much later in life because she's like 20.
She probably never. Did you see it? Have you seen it?
Oh yeah.
It's awful.
It's on Disney Plus. No, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends is dope, son. Miss Lion, the dog, and it's.
I mean,
wonderful.
let's be real. The animation is definitely,
no, it's not time. Yeah,
it's not time. Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Doctor Doom episode is really good. My daughter, when she was like 3, we watched. There's one episode with Swarm, and are you familiar with Swarm, the Spider-Man villain? He's like a bee guy. I wasn't either, and I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I had no idea who this guy was, but he turns everybody into bees, and like they make this big hive and stuff. My daughter and I must have watched that episode like 6,000 times. Because she was just obsessed with the Swarm episode of Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
I love that.
Yeah, it's crazy. I have like bits of dialogue of that episode engraved into my brain that I'll never forget. It's the fucking worst. But
what's interesting, a lot of people have like you're able to replay dialogue from a TV show and stuff like that. I can't do that unless it's integrated into a song.
Really?
And like I was just you said Doom, and like MF Doom used to sample, and like people would make fan videos or whatever of his songs, and so they'd obviously clip from like anything Doom was in, and so I remember seeing parts of that episode only from that, right? Like, yeah. And I can only remember stuff from like cartoons if it was sampled in his songs.
Really?
Yeah. Like I can't remember. I mean, I could remember things like Star Wars because I've seen it like a bajillion times and stuff, but like cartoons, I can't.
My son used to run around the house singing the Spectacular Spider-Man theme song. The one that's like Spectacular Spider-Man. That one, the one that's like at the punk rock theme. That's the one he's singing.
Is your son the type of kid that would like also sing, like jingles from commercials around the house?
Sometimes, but like the weirdest thing that he did was like when he would listen to the songs in the car, I remember him being like 4, and there was like an Atreyu album that used to play in the car, and he would sing You Give Love the Bat Name, because the song is about Batman. That's what he thought. The song is about Batman, Dad. You Give Love the Bat Name. And I was like,
I've totally seen them live like 3 times. And I don't even like them anymore, you know what I mean? But it was definitely in those Warped Tour days where like you were obsessed with those 4 songs on the radio. Warped Tour, yep.
Warped Tour was the worst. Like it was the worst.
Not as bad as like Ozfest though.
I mean, Kevin toured with Ozfest. Kevin didn't you tour with Ozzy and
I remember this.
on the big day off? Yeah. We were the opening band for the bands that were like what they call the big day off, was when the second stage bands would play main stages in small clubs, and that's what she was using to promote the bands on her record label. So it was like it would be different bands on every one. So we toured with them. And then like sometimes they would bring in like an opening band, a band for us to open for before their other bands, just to provide further separation from the real superstars.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, again, which is why, also it's on a fairground where like you're literally covered in a complete mud pit. Like,
oh no, this was at clubs. These were at clubs.
You do that the day
before. So
it was
the big day off. So whenever they'd have a day off, they do like whatever venue was near. Like we did the Norva here in Virginia.
Did you do the House of Blues Orlando?
No, we did the closest we got to Orlando. We played a show in Panama City.
Panama?
Oh wow.
Panama City.
So
Florida.
Far.
Panama City, Florida.
The length of the state is very long.
Yeah, Florida's dumb. Like, I don't care. Florida's dumb. Because when you're a kid, you get to Florida and you're like, cool, be at Disney World in like 20 minutes. Like, nah, motherfucker, you've got to drive like 6 more hours to get to Disney World. That shit sucks.
It was a bunch more East Coast stuff.
Florida is bullshit.
We didn't play Florida that often. We did Georgia more than we did Florida. We did Georgia, we did South Carolina, we did Louisiana. We did Tennessee. We did the small town in North Carolina called Hickory, where like these drunk like down home guys were just like the ceilings that look like office guys. These I mean that's the best way I can describe them.
I'm fine with that.
The ceiling was made of that styrofoam shit, like an office ceiling was in the club, and they were hanging like the stage lights from these weird things. So like I remember looking at that ceiling, and they were like, "This is the last night we're gonna open. We're open, so it's gonna close after this." We were the first band on. By the first time we played, the whole ceiling looked like a checkerboard of destroyed styrofoam. It was all over the floor.
Oh my gosh.
And we played first. So I was like, they destroyed the ceiling by like like crowd tossing each other up and punching the styrofoam out of the ceiling. Wow. It was nuts. I was like, these people are crazy here in Hickory, North Carolina, because I guess like they're so close to the Tennessee border, they never got to see shows. So we were going into Tennessee. So I was like, this is nuts. These people.
That's also what Floridians do.
I like how you keep flipping your hair.
Wild stuff. I have done some wild stuff. I will never talk about it publicly.
Come on, tell us one thing. Just one thing.
Tell us the tamest thing you can. We need at least one.
No, I want the most buck wild, crazy shit in the whole wide world. Tell.
She's not going to tell us that. She'll tell us the tame one.
She's a storyteller. She can make something up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll make something up. I'm such a bad liar, you'd know immediately. I can't play that Among Us game without sweating and being like,
I'm the imposter. I'm done.
There was, okay, this isn't that wild, okay, but because there's not a lot of like shows or comedians or whatever, Doug Benson was going to be at Back Booth, which is like a really tiny club. It's like small bands. And I mean, this isn't wild back at the time. This is like post music days, but I was like tweeting at him being like, let's hang out, let's take pictures. Back Booth they're like famously known for like these really, really old photo booths or whatever. And I was like, let's take photo booths. And like, he actually responded, was like, oh, I'm going to be in Orlando or whatever. Now I realize later on being like, wow, that's really weird. I shouldn't have done that. Yeah. But you know, being a fan, I was just like, let's hang out or whatever. But we did actually get to hang out with him, or like after the show closed up or whatever, I like introduced myself. I was like, hey, what's up? And he was super cool. And he recorded my outgoing voicemail message that I kept for like 4 years. And I don't remember why I was such a huge fan. I mean, like, he was hilarious back in the day. But and then follow up to that, 2 years ago, San Diego Comic-Con, Vita and I are walking on the street and I see Doug Benson and I was just like, Doug Benson, really loud. And he turned around and like waved. And that was it. That's the whole story.
That's the wild, wild west days of Twitter where you could do shit like that. Like,
yeah, because Twitter wasn't like what it is now.
No, I remember because I used to do a commercial radio show way back in the day. And this was like 2009. And we had a question for LeVar Burton of all people, because I was in this Star Trek phase, which I still am. I still watch Star Trek religiously. I love it.
I just started it for the first time ever in my entire life.
Get out of town. Now, where did you start?
Next Generation.
Okay. How far along into Next Generation are you at this point?
Like 6 episodes.
Okay. It gets much better.
It gets better.
I'm going to tell you.
I like it. It's corny. I love it.
It is corny, but it gets better. And I'm going to tell you, Deep Space Nine is where it's at. That's just the jam. Like that's the real deal.
You'll know TNG is good when Riker has a beard. Before that, it's once his beard comes in, and I'm not saying that because I'm a fan of beards. I'm just saying.
Okay, but you said Lamar Burton.
LeVar Burton,
LeVar, sorry.
Burton. So we had a question for him. We were talking about him on the air, and we were like, hey, let's just tweet him and see if he wants to come on the show. And he did. And we talked to him for like 45 minutes.
Twitter used to be magical.
Twitter was what we did the same thing with Kevin Smith. Do you remember when Kevin Smith was too fat to be on an airplane?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. That was the United.
Yes.
Days, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that was like forever ago. We just tweeted at him like, hey, you want to talk about it? And we gave him the phone number and he called us up, and Kevin Smith talked to us for like 45 minutes about being fat on a plane.
What?
Yeah, Twitter used to be really awesome. Now it's like a total shit show. But yeah, back in the day, Twitter was pretty great.
Now he has like a podcast conglomerate, and like, you know, he could probably own his own flight of planes.
He's doing everything that we're talking about with like the 10,000 fans. He's got his audience, and he just kind of speaks to them and does his thing. Now, you mentioned this earlier. You've been throwing out so many little kind of strings that I want to pull and ask you about, because we were talking about music. You're also a drummer, yes?
Right. I was going to say that.
Yeah. You're like a new drummer. Have you been drumming for a long time, or?
Yeah. So I actually got my set Christmas the year before last. So a year and 1 month or whatever ago. Always wanted to drum. It's great. I mean, I think I'm somewhat okay. Not a bar to, strive for, but it's fine. But it's actually really like, I know this sounds probably really weird, but it's great for my mental health. I wouldn't say that I have any issues with like anger or anything like that, but I definitely get very anxious. And I think it's great for my anxiety.
Who knew? That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, who knew that banging on things and making a lot of noise would be good for anxiety,
Yes,
you know?
yeah.
That's wonderful. We just got our kids a drum set and they've been really digging it. So it's been kind of cool. So that's been fun.
Who plays drums?
It's really great for like focus and, you know, if I ever am like really overwhelmed with work or like can't decide what to do or accidentally cycle through like Twitter and email and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, I need to step away. Do I want to go outside? Probably not. Okay, I'll go drum instead. Like a couple songs. So I love it. It's been honestly a life changer. It makes me very happy.
So what kind of music do you like playing on the drums?
Mostly I would say like indie rock, metal, hip hop. Okay. Mostly because you can kind of like swear in between. This week specifically, I've been trying to learn a whole bunch of White Stripes songs.
Okay.
To surprise my partner. And then I have been learning a couple Parquet Court songs, and let's see, I love disco. That's really a weird,
all right. No, I mean,
weird sentence, but I like listening to disco and making up beats. Really
favorite disco band?
Favorite disco band?
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably going to be everybody's answer, but either I would say Hall & Oates, though a lot of people probably don't consider them disco.
They're not disco.
Or the Bee Gees.
Okay.
The Bee Gees is disco.
Bee Gees, I mean, they kind of created a genre. Like that was the whole thing, you know? That's cool.
I
think I love Hall & Oates.
So do I.
Like that was my answer when I was in a metal band. They asked what my favorite band was, and it was legit. My sister was like big on listening to like Donna Summer and like the Police. So
God,
like
Donna Summer, oh my God, what a fucking queen and goddess. Like,
you were right.
Every time I listen to her, it's like you're transported to another dimension. Like
bad girl. I was 7 years old singing Bad Girls. Like, so, I mean, it stuck with me to this day. I still do that. Bad girl, bad. So, and then the Police. She would listen to the Police, and like Queen and like all that stuff was ingrained into me through that. And I used to listen to all that stuff.
Hall & Oates is great. The blonde.
I loved Hall & Oates.
Blonde, blue-eyed soul, my man. You can't.
I was in a metal band. We were being interviewed by a metal magazine, and they're like, "What are your favorite bands?" And my guitar player goes, "Don't ask him. He's gonna answer something that's embarrassing." And I'm like, "I am." It's Hall.
That makes me so sad because like metal is what got me into like drumming, and like I love drumming or whatever, and metal culture so bad. I mean, primarily why we're making fun of it in True Cult, because like I'm a huge metal fan, and Same. We, you know, being a woman in the metal like scene, not a good, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's probably why we connected. I feel like so quickly.
Is music metal or yes? Well, I mean, metal music is ridiculous, and like the problem with metal music is that it is ridiculous, and the fans take it way too serious, and I don't get that. Like that's the part that
y'all ever seen some King Diamond fans? Oh my God,
they're ridiculous. They're ridiculous. Well, King Diamond himself is ridiculous. So I mean, it goes. I mean, if you're
a true like artist,
like genius,
you know?
It's one of the two. It's a toss up. I'd say Dio has him beat. So like,
God rest his soul.
Yeah, yes. I mean, you know, he's the metal midget. He lived in a castle. He was legit. He was legit trying to be that guy. Like,
what's y'all's favorite metal band?
Are you talking about newer?
Kevin, I know your answer.
You only get one. You only get one.
It's because I grew up trying to skateboard to them. So
Kevin's answer is Anthrax.
It is.
Oh,
I grew up trying to skate to thrash music. So
nice.
It was Anthrax and Megadeth and Metallica. All that shit was big when I was in middle school. Back patches were big.
I'm more of an older soul, and they're not. I don't know if you could classify them metal, but I would say Led Zeppelin.
Oh, so good. You know, I went to a wedding like 10 years ago, and they played Led Zeppelin like all night, and I was like, yes.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
The greatest. It's like college. Good for any occasion.
Yeah. You can be real stoned listening to Zeppelin because there's nothing better than a 26-minute drum solo when you're baked out of your face. Like, no, it's really wonderful. Like, I've wasted so many hours of my life.
What did you do Friday night? Listen to Led Zeppelin.
I just listened
for a very long time.
I just listened to the B-side of Song Remains the Same live at Madison Square Garden for 26 minutes of a drum solo. That's what I did. Like, and wow.
He would also get really high and watch the videos though.
Movie. I mean, have you seen the movie Song Remains the Same?
Yeah. Go watch it. He's gonna tell
I
you.
will.
I will
gift it to you. I will gift it to you somehow on Amazon so you can watch this thing. It is fucking ridiculous. It's Led Zeppelin at the height of their power. It's like 74, 75.
Have we did I accidentally unlock something?
Yes,
you did.
Yes. Yes.
Bobby is really the goat wizard in metal.
It's one of my favorite things in the whole world. It's Led Zeppelin at the height of their powers. They play Madison Square Garden 3 nights in a row, okay? And so they basically splice together this concert film, which is pretty cool to watch Led Zeppelin fucking rock and roll in 1975, just blow the doors off Madison Square Garden. But the cool part about it is in between the songs and during the music, there's like little vignettes of like fantasy worlds where Robert Plant is a Viking riding a ship through crashing waves and like has sword fights and shit. And like it's fucking insane. And people, and they made this, and the studio went, yeah, that's fine, put it out. I don't care. Yeah,
Jimmy Page is a wizard, and like
Jimmy Page he's this guy climbing a mountain, and we ripped this all off in Metal Shark Bro.
Yeah, we did.
This guy climbing this mountain who gets to the top of the mountain, and there's this wizard there who spins his wand, and Jimmy Page turns from like Jimmy Page to an old man to a baby to like a bunch of cells, and it's fucking great. It's wonderful. It's fucking wonderful.
I thought Tool shows were like super psychedelic and wild, but I feel like after watching this, I'll have a transformative experience.
It's really fun.
You will.
Funny. And then you can just see John Bonham with a cow, because John Bonham's video is just like him being a manly dude. So there's like, he's driving like a funny car, and he's in a pub drinking a beer, playing pool, and he's playing drums, and he's using a jackhammer.
Is he wailing at
he's
one
wearing
point?
he's wearing a jackhammer. He's rocking a jackhammer, wearing like a blazer, and then there's just him holding a cow. Like, ridiculous, but it's so much fun.
He's milking the cow.
No, he's holding the cow. Like he's just holding the rope of the cow. It's fucking brilliant. Like it's so good.
I thought I was like an edgelord for like having had watched the LCD Sound System DVD like 8 times and like watching all of my bootleg Queens of the Stone Age and Caius shows.
I love Queens of the Stone Age.
Caius. They're so much fun.
They were, fun fact, behind me is like every single pressing of any record that's ever come out by Caius. The middle in between before Caius and Queens of the Stone Age. I forget what it's called. All of the Queens of the Stone Age original self-titled stuff. And any single Queens of the Stone Age family record. So
we played in Richmond with Caius.
Really?
I love Caius.
Before we had a record deal, we played in Richmond with Caius because they weren't Queens of the Stone Age yet. They were not there yet. They had a different singer. The guy had dark hair. It was long dark hair.
I don't know that guy's name, but
I don't remember his name either.
Do you listen to like the Desert Session stuff too? Do you like
Oh,
that?
absolutely. Yeah.
The Desert Session stuff is great.
I actually have all of that too. I'll show you after we're done recording.
That's so cool. Like, Liana, you're the coolest.
Yes.
And we haven't even gotten to the fact that you're doing a Star Wars book yet. Like, that's got to be the craziest shit in the whole wide world, right?
I am very stressed out. No, I love it so much. My editor is incredibly cool. Elizabeth is, she's fucking rad, and I'm really excited. So I'm still speechless. So it's an experience that I'm still working my way through.
I can tell, like you're having a hard time putting the words together. What's yours now? Is this like an ongoing thing or a one shot, or what's your Star Wars story about?
No, so it's going to be a one shot split between 2 issues, from what I understand. Sam Maggs is writing it, which is awesome, and it's a Luke and Leia story.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
So I actually called my brother. No one knows this, but I called my brother when I got the news before like I knew anything was happening, and I told him about it, and he was so proud of me. And I would say we're close, but we don't like, we talk like 3 times a year. You know what I mean? We're just those type of people. And so the level of like endearment and like sincerity in his voice when he's like, I'm so proud of you, blah blah blah, I was just like, I think that means a lot too. So it's really exciting. My mom kind of grew us up on like Jim Henson movies and stuff like that, and Star Wars was the one up where I was just like, oh, like totally blown away how unique and creative it was. So being a huge Star Wars fan as it is, and even bigger way larger fan than normal people, you know. It's totally fine. I'm fine.
That's awesome. I get it. The Dark Crystal was that for me. So
I love the Dark Crystal.
I do too. My son's traumatized by it though, because I tried to make him watch it. He's like, "This is scary. I don't want to see it."
Oh, when you're young, you can't watch that. I had to wait. Like there was a good 7 years in between rewatching it because I was just like, those vultures scare the shit out of me.
I mean,
they're gonna murder me.
My mom used to think all cartoons were for kids. So like, this is a funny story. So when I was little, she put on Watership Down, the cartoon. So, and like, that is not something that you should let your 7-year-old watch. Cause like, I was traumatized by the rabbits killing each other. I was like, oh, but like, I watched it all the way through. Cause I was like, I'm technically an only child between my mom and my dad. So like the TV was their way of like, go babysit yourself. So like that was
absolutely
a traumatizing moment with the rabbits. So like when we were in the theater with the Dark Crystal, I was like, Mom, I'm scared. She's like, don't worry about it.
Mom, I'm scared.
Don't worry about it. She was like napping in the movie theater because she worked all the time. Don't worry about it. You'll be all right.
Like I want to be like the type of mom that's like, my kid will be fine and like fall asleep, you know?
Oh, they'll be good.
Yeah,
you'll be fine. And I was, but for the first part of the movie, like you said, I was like, oh, I'm scared. But like it ends. It's good.
Anytime my family got together, like the TV, like you said, was like the babysitter. And so like my way older cousin would show my cousin and I, who are the same age, and like my brother, like weird stuff. I remember watching Akira for the first time and just having like nightmares for like 6 weeks after, being like, what is this blobby monster that's gonna come kill me? And I love that people are like, I love horror anime and stuff like that. And I definitely feel like it falls underneath that in some sort of level. And that's probably why I like that kind of stuff a lot. But like, you know, watching Aeon Flux really late at night on MTV or like weird stuff like that just kind of, I guess, formed that entire brand aesthetic eventually.
Yeah,
totally. That's wonderful. I feel like we've been doing this for almost an hour. So I feel like if you have to go, you can. If you want to stay on and chit chat, you're more than welcome. You're a wonderful guest. You've got so much shit going on. I know you probably want to get to bed because you've got like a whole day to conquer tomorrow of interneting and and tweeting and Star Warsing, like in Queens of the Stone Age records to listen to. I mean, before we let you go, what's your favorite Queens of the Stone Age song?
Okay, it's a tie between probably 3, because how dare you ask me that?
Okay, I mean, I love Queens of the Stone Age, so I gotta ask.
So it was, and I say was an asterisk, my favorite band of all time.
Really? Now, what happened? What was there a falling out between you and Josh Homme? Like, what happened?
Yeah, he kicked me in the face like the photographer. Just kidding. No, Michael Schumann made Mini Mansions. And oops, now I love them more. Okay. And right. Your tastes change when you grow up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I would say it's a tie between I Was a Teenage Hand Model.
Okay.
Born to Hula. And can I just pick the entire songs for the Deaf album? Like, how are you supposed to pick a fucking song from that? You know what I mean? Like, especially knowing that Dave was a part of the album, you're like, all right. But probably intro songs and or songs. The fact that the Avalanches sampled the fucking radio from songs from the Deaf album. I like literally the first time I listened to that song, because, even though I know it's not their newest album, but obviously it only came out 2 years ago or whatever, the Avalanches. I was like crying while walking down the street, hearing that. And just a small sample of it. It's just so good. It's so good.
The one thing I miss about new Queen stuff is I miss Mark Lanigan.
Me too.
Because Josh Homme has a cool voice, but there's just something about when Lanigan comes in to kind of break it up.
Did you listen to Hawk?
No, I've never listened to Hawk.
Oh my God, that entire album, him and what's her face, so good. Oh God, it's so good. You have to listen to that immediately tomorrow. It is such a good album.
Have you heard of? He does some stuff called the Gutter Twins. Have you heard of that with Greg Dooley?
I've listened to a lot of Gutter Twins. I cannot say I'm as like tuned in as I would be for like. Obviously, Sweethead. Yeah. Really like, probably have all their weird B-sides and stuff from like Bandcamp stuff. We own one of Troy Van Leeuwen's pedals.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Mini Mansions, obviously. Like, I think Alan Johannes, like, I listened to a lot more of his stuff than I did any of Mark Lanigan's. So, like, any of Mark Lanigan's side stuff, like, not as well versed. I would say 70%. Maybe.
Okay, because he does. Lanigan has a side project he did with Greg Dooley from the Afghan Wigs and the Twilight Singers, who they're my all-time favorite group ever. Like, I just love it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I will listen to that tomorrow if you listen to Hawk.
Okay, I totally will. Here, hang on. Good. I'm gonna Google that right now.
Make himself a note.
But yeah, it's definitely like Songs for the Deaf was probably the greatest like rock and roll record of the 2000s. Like, it just came out, you're like, this is fucking
What's
amazing.
their first album called?
Everything about it.
It's just self-titled.
Yeah, it's self-titled. Okay. Then you have Rated R, and then Songs for the Deaf, and then Lullabies to Paralyze. And Lullabies to Paralyze was okay.
I actually like that one.
Really?
You're gonna kill me. I like that one a lot more than Rated R.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. It's a little more mature. There's a bit more kind of mature themes on it. It's
Mosquito Song. So
Mosquito Song's really cool. And then they did what came out after Lullabies? Villains? No, Villains was their latest. I really like the newest one a lot too.
Era Vulgaris.
Yeah,
How could you forget?
Yeah. I'm sorry, man.
The iconic. I'm just kidding.
Whoa,
the artist
gatekeep me, bro, on Queens of the Stone Age.
You did. You got me.
You just gatekeeped.
I am the truest fan.
All right. I believe you.
She said there can be only one. She's gonna highlight.
That is my one weird thing, like, that a lot of comics people don't know, is that, like, I have traveled to see them like 15 times.
Really?
Outside of Florida. Yeah.
That's awesome. I've only seen him once, and it was fucking amazing. It was during the Songs of the Deaf tour, and it was great. And I don't want to say this, I interviewed him.
Yeah, you think you want to talk to me about cool stuff? He's got cool interview stories you want to hear. Tell her about the Disturbed guy interview. That's hilarious.
Oh yeah, that guy. That was,
What?
This is hilarious.
Oh my god.
We used to do, like, we would go to venues and interview people, and we interviewed the Disturbed guy. And Disturbed sucks. Like, they're just not great. And the whole
They're definitely for a certain type of I don't hate any fans of anything.
I'm gonna say Disturbed sucks, and they're not for me. And like, the guy, he used to do the thing, and he took himself very seriously. And we had taken that thing and just kind of made it a drop where we could kind of put it wherever we wanted to. So we were interviewing him, and it was very awkward because we didn't like him and he didn't like us because we were kind of dicks and not real. We weren't dicks, but we were
Your radio show, right? So
yeah.
He has to automatically be braced because, like, he's either like, I'm gonna be made fun of for the next 45 minutes. Or this is gonna be great.
We weren't really taking his band seriously. We were just trying to talk to him like we're talking to you, and it wasn't going well. And we were on location, so we had a board op back in the studio who kept hitting the thing over and over again. And he was like, I don't find that funny at all. It's an expression of my art. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, it was like, yeah, it was tense. But if
you can't make fun of yourself, that makes me sad.
And what
I try to make fun of myself as often as possible to not take myself too seriously.
The guy from Disturbed took himself really seriously, and he still had the metal things coming from his face.
I'll give you the other side of that. I'll give you the other side of that. So, like I said, we would open up for bands on the big day off. The headliner was Disturbed.
Not
so
cool.
The band that went on before us was a band called Ultra Spank. So if you've ever heard of Ultra Spank,
I have, surprisingly.
They're awesome. I love Ultra Spank. Those guys are great. Jeff and Pete, the singer Pete and Jeff, are the two nicest fucking guys in the entire world, because we were like following them around in a fucking Econoline van, and they would be like, come on guys, come on, Club Ultra Spank. That was their tour bus, like, that they had, that the label had rented them. So they would always like invite us to come there and drink with them and hang out with them, because they knew where we were. They'd been there. It was that kind of thing. Like, well, we're going to like take you guys under our wing because we like you. And you guys are all super nice guys. Well, Disturbed was that nobody liked them. Nobody.
They're dicks. They're
nobody.
Dicks.
Because like, well, Mudvayne was playing. Mudvayne was opening. It was. This is how it would go.
Mudvayne was. I mean, say what you want. It was stupid, but they had a thing. Like,
I appreciate all 2000s metal bands.
I like.
There are a lot not together.
There are a lot of shitty 2000 metal bands though. It's like, yeah.
And I was in one of them. So hold on. So like, it would be like us when the house lights are coming up, and then till like the time when people are starting to get settled. Then after us, it would be Nothing Face, who used to play out of Baltimore. and then and they were awesome. I love Nothing Face. They're great. And I think the guitar players now is in Hell Yeah. So then after Nothing Face, it would be Ultraspank, and then Mudvayne, and then Disturbed. So at the Norva is one of the few venues that has like all this cool stuff in the back because it's brand new. So it's got like a hot tub back there. There's all kinds of crazy shit going on.
It's really crazy back there. It's super fun.
And they have like a shower area and stuff like that.
Yeah, they have a
that makes sense. But
they have a basketball court.
Well, the hot tub is weird because it's brand new. Like most venues we played didn't even have any place to shower. Like most venues we played were like I guess the best way I could put it would be like Ziggy's House of Blues in like South Carolina, or like the Boathouse in Norfolk, Virginia, where like you have a backstage area, but it's like it's legit like just a long corridor with like a couple of rooms where you can.
The Norva used to be an athletic club, like way back. It's in Norfolk, Virginia. It used to be like a fancy pants gymnasium or something. So then they kind of revamped it into this beautiful concert hall. I mean, it's fantastic. Like, because Kevin and I are from the same area, and I used to interview people in there, and it's just this. I mean, they have a fucking basketball court. Like,
they have all kinds of cool shit.
It's crazy. Like, it's beautiful back there, man. I
met
the Kevin Costner back there. It was awesome.
So the singer from Disturbed was telling people that they couldn't go in certain places because they're the headliners and stuff like that. And so like, I remember we played first. So by the time they played, I was fucking drunk. Like, you guys think that like the 3 beers and stuff at Heroes is, no, that's nothing. I mean, I was like, we're going to do dumb shit. Let's go do dumb shit. So Pete and I from Ultraspank decide that we're going to go and run through the hot tub area and just be douchebags because we're not supposed to do that, which could get you kicked off the tour. For us, we could get kicked off the tour. But like, of course, I'm like 8 tequilas in, I'm thinking not of getting kicked off.
Yeah, no one's thinking of that.
I'm thinking of what is the most absolute stupid fun we can have, and that is ruining this guy's night because he's a D-bag. Yeah. So we run through there while he's in the hot tub with ladies, and like he starts getting all upset, but you know he can't get out of the hot tub because I'm not sure if he's wearing clothes or not. And Pete's like, "You a douchebag!" Being dumb and like.
Thank you for this gem of a story.
It's the ridiculousness of being in a band. And I almost slip in the water from the hot tub and bust my ass with my drunk running self to get out the other door before he gets out of the hot tub with his angry self. But like he's very short.
He's very little. That's what I was
he's short. So I like when he got out, I was like, what is he gonna do? Beat me up? I'm like 5 inches taller than him.
He's the size of a toddler. Like he's a very little person.
He's 5'7".
He's really small.
Listen, I'm smaller than 5'7". Don't hate.
Yeah, but I mean, for a man that kind of projects himself as like this big tough guy to be like 5'7", it's a really kind of fun.
Have you heard of his Lord and Savior Danzig?
Yes, I love Danzig. He's the best.
He is also a douche, though.
Yes, but at least Danzig has owned his kind of doucheness, and to some extent deserves that kind of doucheness, that praise and worship. I mean, he's fucking Danzig.
He told the 12-year-old kid when I was like, we played with a band the night before, and then he was playing, so we went to go see them play with
Danzig,
the other band.
Yeah,
this is Danzig.
Okay.
And so they like introduced us to like everybody in his band, and the bass player Yvonne was cool. John Christ, the guitar player, was cool. Of course, Chuck Biscuits was super.
They all have stupid names, which is always fun.
It's really funny, but like
Chuck Biscuits.
Chuck Biscuits was in Black Flag though, so like, you know, he was amazing to me. So like, but then Danzig is like mean to this kid, and so then I waited in line to tell him like that was a D-bag move, and he looked at me like sitting on the bus steps like he was gonna punch me from the seated position. I'm like, what, in my kneecap? And I just like walked away.
I mean, he should.
He would probably break my kneecap. Yeah. He'd probably break my kneecap.
Oh, absolutely. He's packing like, you know,
not anymore.
Tons of power in those like pecs, man.
Yeah. Not anymore.
And he would wear the fishnet shirts.
Oh yeah.
I love Danzig. Like
open vest, no shirt.
Yeah.
Too.
The Danzig aesthetic is something that I think we could all strive to.
Absolutely.
One day. But Liana, this is wonderful. You're great. Like you're seriously wonderful. Where can we find you on social? Like where can we do all that? Like tell us your Twitch and your Discord and
get your hustle on,
your MySpace, and all that shit. Like tell us.
I have a MySpace. You both are definitely in my top 9 now. Thank you so much for having me on. And this has been the most pleasant experience, obviously, because you both let me do a really cool variant cover for Ninja Nuns that you can now buy. you're like, we don't want to talk about our stuff.
We don't
want to talk about you. We're talking about you. We're talking about you.
I know. I'm really excited. You can buy the variant cover on, I believe, Scout's website. You can find my Patreon, which is where you can get really cool access to like a Patreon only Discord, which a lot of the Twitch subscribers also are in, and we hang out, we talk. I send a lot of private like work in progress stuff, that I don't usually share on Twitter. I even send mail of really cool shit like stickers and prints and things. That's patreon.com/Liana Kangas, and you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Liana Kangas, and I tweet a shit ton at the same Liana Kangas, where you can find all my comic updates. Essentially, I do the same for Instagram, but that platform's kind of dying, so I do what I can and make the best of it. But otherwise, you can find me at my website at lianakangas.com.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Dude, you guys are the best. Like, this is the fun.
Pshaw.
I don't think I've laughed this much on a podcast in so long.
Well, I mean, you have your own show that hopefully
now
you
I just want the Danzig aesthetic. Like,
yeah,
that's what I want.
You can do that. You've got the leather coat. You're halfway there.
Yeah.
That's
you
true.
just need to get the
UFC fighter gloves and like
and the Danzig cross and steal like what was that guy's name's art? Christopher Golden's art. And just do that. Yeah. And you're in.
I will say though, I like Danzig more than any of his other bands.
I like Hamzig better than Danzig.
I like Danzig a lot. I love the weird kind of Elvis-y, bluesy rock and roll vibe that he's got. It's really goofy, but it
was weird.
Nice.
It was kind of weird that he was in comics for a short bit, but it's fine.
Those were fucking weird comics.
Oh, I still have them.
They were weird.
I've never read the Danzig comics. I would love to see them.
If I can find them, I'll send you pictures.
Dude, I'm going to tell you this just before we go, and then you can leave it in there.
What are the Danzig? Now I want to know what the Danzig comics are about.
I'm getting ready to tell you what one of the stories is. It's like
let our guest tell us.
Okay.
Oh no, I don't remember. Isn't it Satanica? I haven't opened those literally since. I collected all the Guar comics when they were coming out, which who knows what publisher that was.
Yeah,
but that's when I was buying them, and I have since put them away and packed them away and never opened again.
It's like, okay, I'm gonna tell you that's about. Like, this is the story I remember, and this is
make it quick because I want to let her go.
Basically, the whole twist of the story is this guy like tricks this lady into having sex with him, and he thinks he's like this predator the whole time, and he's like getting her in bed and everything. So they're like doing it, and she's like tied him up in some BSDM stuff, and is like, "Are you into cutting?" And he's like, "I'll be into whatever you want me to be in. You're a perfect 10." He says like some weird like Danzig
stuff.
Yeah.
She murders him, right? Just straight up like cacao.
She starts cutting herself and cutting him and then bleeding on him and like rolling around in her blood in the sheets. And the next morning he wakes up and she's like, I just need to tell you that I have AIDS and now you have it too, probably.
What? No,
I swear.
No, you cannot like put this in the podcast.
It is. I'm telling you, that's one of the stories.
I might edit that out.
One of them into a horror movie that's like supposed to be on Shudder right now. Like,
it's supposed to be a horror story.
Yeah, there's one that's like a movie that's being released
that everybody said was terrible.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, absolutely.
But he took it seriously. So like if he ever finds
he does. He's Danzig.
He's gonna beat us up for Hamzig, but like I'm okay with that.
Whatever.
I'm gonna tweet about it.
I am much
Don't
taller.
tweet! You're gonna ruin my brand.
Yeah. I am much taller than Danzig, and I will just stick my hand out, and he won't be able to get to me like Popeye. And
Danzig, if you're listening to this, I do love you. I have been to many of your shows. I have said nothing wrong about the Danzig brand.
I love Danzig. Again, I'm pushing for the Danzig aesthetic here. Like, that's what I think we should all go.
I'm going to get us beat up, Bob, because there's a better story in
Look,
that.
We can Gibby Clark Danzig. Do you remember the guy from Guns N' Roses beat the fuck out of him?
Oh, yeah, Vivian Clark, he did knock him out.
He just, bam, like cold cocked him. So, I
might be able to take him.
I don't know. I haven't seen Danzig in a long time. But again, we're roping Liana into all this, and she doesn't need to be a party to any of this.
I appreciate it.
Because she's going places where we are not.
Well, no, we're going to fight Danzig sometime.
I'm just going to step over y'all, like the entire you guys fighting.
Let's write a comic about trying to fight Danzig.
That'd be amazing. I'm in.
That's it. All right. We got to go.
If you write me in.
Okay, of course. You're going to draw it. Are you crazy?
You're going to draw Danzig beating the crap out of us. It'll be the best time you ever had drawing comics.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, so again, Liana, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. And much continued success to you.
Yes.
Thank you, dudes. You guys are the best.
No, stop it.